Hey everyone, and welcome. So the other day I was just chatting with a friend, and we kind of went down this rabbit hole talking about fear. You know, how it secretly shapes and, let's be honest, often shrinks the biggest decisions we make in our lives. That conversation really stuck with me, and it's exactly what I want to unpack with you all today. And to kick things off, well, I'm going to have to get a little personal.
And yeah, just to be totally upfront with you, this whole topic is super personal for me. For the longest time, I was genuinely absolutely terrified to start this very channel. It just felt like this massive leap, and I had a million little voices of doubt screaming in my head. I'm sharing this because I have a hunch that a lot of you know exactly what that feels like.
I like to call this whole thing the curse of fear. It's that invisible wall that just pops up and keeps us frozen when we know, deep down, we should be moving forward. It's that little whisper that says, yeah, but what if, in the worst way possible. So let's actually take a look at what this curse looks like in the real world.
And what's crazy is just how universal these feelings are. It usually boils down to three main anxieties, right? First, there's the fear of taking a chance on a new career, a different city, you name it. Then there's the fear of making a mistake, of messing up and having to start all over. And maybe the most powerful one of all, the fear of being ridiculed, that deep-seated worry about what other people will think or say if you fail. These fears, they're basically the bars on a cage we end up building for ourselves.
So where does all this hesitation even come from? I mean, were we always this way? The answer for pretty much all of us is a big no. There's this huge shift that happens somewhere between being a kid and being an adult. We go from having this boundless courage to having, well, a whole lot of caution.
I remember when I was young, I felt pretty much fearless. I made this massive decision to go work overseas, and I barely thought twice about it. I just had this gut feeling, this confidence that it would all work out. But as I got older, man, something changed. I started being more afraid of taking those big chances, hesitating, calculating every single tiny risk until I was basically paralyzed. Does that sound at all familiar to you?
Now here's the interesting part. When we finally decide to push past all that hesitation and actually take a leap, we kind of brace ourselves for resistance from the world, right? But the truth is, the biggest roadblock often comes from a place you'd least expect it, a place that's really, really close to home.
So just take a second and really think about this. When you've had a big, crazy, exciting idea, who are the first people to poke holes in it? Who are the ones that, maybe with the best intentions, hold you back the most?
This one can be a tough pill to swallow, but so often it's our close family and our friends. And look, it's almost never coming from a bad place. It's born out of love, out of a desire to protect us. But in trying to keep us safe, they can end up projecting all of their own fears and their own limitations right onto our dreams. And suddenly, they become our strongest and most convincing critics.
Okay, so we've named the curse, and we figured out where a lot of the resistance comes from. Now for the most important part. How in the world do we break it? The answer isn't about being reckless, not at all. It's about learning how to take calculated, smart chances. So how do we actually do that? Well, it breaks down into a pretty simple three-step process.
It all really comes down to this. First, and this is the foundation for everything, you have to believe in yourself. If you don't have that deep down conviction, no one else is. Second, be calculated. This isn't about just closing your eyes and jumping. It means you do your research, you make a plan, you actually understand the risks. That preparation is what turns that giant monster of fear into something manageable. And finally, after all that, you have to do the scariest thing of all. You have to actually take the chance.
But fighting our own fear, it's about more than just our own personal growth. It's also about the limited time we have and the example we set, the legacy we leave behind. Every single chance we decide to take, or not to take, sends a really powerful message to the people who look up to us.
So the big takeaway here is really about purpose. Take advantage of your youth, your energy, the time you have right this second, because that is your most valuable asset. And, just as important, pay it forward. Encourage your kids, your friends, whoever, encourage them to try that new project, to take that weird class, to just be bold. You want to create a space where just trying is the thing that gets celebrated, no matter how it turns out.
And that really brings us to the last and maybe the most powerful question you can ever ask yourself when fear has you in a chokehold. Just stop. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, seriously, what is the absolute worst that could happen? And when you really think about it, the reality is almost always way less terrifying than the monster that fear has built up in your mind. And the potential upside of trying? Well, that just might be worth everything.